what Joe Staley said. He went on the radio and he was going on about the officiating in a Super Bowl that happened 2 years ago. Not the one with the Bucks and the Chiefs, the one with the Niners and the Chiefs that pretty much the whole world forgets except for Niner fans and Chiefs fans. So my question is, what does this indicate to you about the mindset of the franchise?
That they're living in the past and they haven't gotten over that loss. And I understand that Joe Staley's not a member of the 49ers anymore because he's not on the team and he can't play anymore. But he has a lot of tight connections with that organization. I mean, shoot, we just saw it. He was hanging out with Kyle Shanahan over the weekend. The belief in that whole thing, that goes beyond Kyle Shanahan. I think that seeps throughout the organization into the locker room as far as, hey, we should have won that game. We got the short end of the stick. And quite frankly, yeah, they probably did, but they didn't handle it the right way and come back the next year and handle their business. And that's, I kind of threw out a tweet earlier this morning, similar. I kind of was said in a joking way, but I was angry. I'm so angry about Eric Wright getting called for pass interference against Washington in the 1984 NFC Championship game. But the cool part about that team was they came back the next year and they went 15-1 and won the Super Bowl and were just dominant all the way through. And so that's really the difference between Joe Staley, this version of the 49ers, and the version of the 49ers that actually won on a consistent basis instead of talking about it.
See, I think this is the Super Bowl hangover. And people we talked about it last year, we have these conversations online about Super Bowl hangover. People are like, what is that? It doesn't even mean anything. It's a myth. This is it. You don't get over the loss. You can get over losses in the regular season. You can't get over the Super Bowl loss. And people think, well, Super Bowl hangover lasts a year. It could last forever. You don't get over losing the Super Bowl. And the tough thing about trying to do a revenge tour and trying to keep the team together is whenever they look at each other, what do they see? 2019. And that's why they talk about it all the time. Because they're stuck. They're a time capsule. And their mission is to prove that 2019 was the year and that they got robbed. When really the best way to get over the Super Bowl hangover is to blow it up and start over. Really, unless you're the Patriots and you have you're built to handle a Super Bowl loss. No one else really has. You should probably change something up and give the team a fresh start, something to feel like they're focused on the future and not the past. Otherwise, you're Uncle Rico. Think about 1983. It's and it's like it never ends. I think that's the Super Bowl hangover. You don't get over it.
Yeah, and that Super Bowl hangover, played into their injury issues a season ago, right? Because like you just said, that Super Bowl hangover, they went ahead and decided to try to run it back with all the same guys, all those guys that had injury issues, and we saw that play out throughout all of last year, and we're seeing them still continue to do that. All those guys that have the injuries last year, they brought them all back again, and we're expecting. Now they're expecting them to all of a sudden go out and have a great year this year when these are the same guys that were hurt in 2017, 2018, 2019, last year, and now we're going to all of a sudden be better. So it's a scary situation for the 49ers, I think, really, when you look at them for going into this year. There's a lot of things to be excited about, but that's definitely got to be a cause for concern.
And I think to put this in a positive spin, it's all the more reason to start the Trey Lance era as soon as possible. You got to move on from this 2019 team. And Jimmy Garoppolo is the face of it, for better or worse. The way they talk about it is like they want to keep the crew together and prove that the refs screwed them. Nah, move forward. Move forward, because it really wasn't the refs' fault that you gave up 21 points in one quarter. That's on you. You got to own that. It's not the refs' fault that you passed the ball on second down with a lead in the fourth quarter up big. That's on you. So just own it, switch your team up, focus on the future, give it to Trey. I think the sooner they do that, the sooner Trey Lance becomes a starter. When that happens, I'll feel like, you know what, they're finally going to be getting over this hangover because they're finally going to be focused on the future.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the face of the franchise, changing that over. It's just going to be like a rebirth kind of that group. Because
that's why the state of the franchise bothered me so much, Jack. It's like you should be talking about Trey. Instead, you're showing pictures of Jimmy Garoppolo and talking about 2019 and asking whether this team is better. Enough. Let's talk about the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. They're stuck in the past. They haven't moved forward in terms of a lot of their messaging that they're putting out there. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. That's actually a great point.
So look, we're not coming down on Joe. Joe, that's his That's his final game of his career. I'm sure he's going to be he's never going to get over that. You don't get over that. And I get that, Joe. But the Niners have to. You got to move on. And Kyle, you got to set the tone. John Lynch, you got to set the tone. Move on. When they should have not allowed, Greg Papa asked a question about comparing this team to 2019. They should never, ever answer that question again. Harbaugh wouldn't. We're not here to compare ourselves to the past.
No, really, it's a really bad discussion point. You should be talking about this. Is this team better than one that was 2 years ago? I mean, come on, that's not really even something that we should be discussing at this point. That team was a really good team. They had their time. They didn't get it done. Let's talk about where we are. Especially, I agree with you a whole lot on the Trey Lance thing. You just spent all that money, not money, but all that draft capital to go up and get this guy, and he needs to be the face of your franchise now. Even if he isn't going to play, he's the guy that you should be marketing everything around.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought not mentioning his name, and then doing the whole, hey, look at our 94 uniforms, and every other picture was Jimmy Garoppolo. Here's Jimmy with Jerry Rice. Jimmy with Jerry Rice? That's Jerry Rice. Jimmy's going to be on some other team in like 6 months. What is going on? I thought it was bizarre. It's like, are you trying to milk a little money out of the Jimmy G cash cow before he goes? Or are you really confused about how to market this team in 2021? I mean, you should be proud of Trey. You should be proud of Trey. Let it go.
Yeah, that was a big swing and a miss, because I'm pretty sure that if Jacksonville was, or New York or the Jets were out there doing anything like that, it wouldn't have been their old quarterbacks out there. It would have been their new rookies that are going to be the future of the team.
So thank you, Joe, for shedding some light on what's going on here. It is the biggest hangover of all time. The Niners were on a serious bender. They were like 20 shots deep till they got to the fourth quarter, and they still can't believe they're a little blacked out. They don't know what happened. They're like, we lost? No. That's not. We were winning by 10. That's the last thing I can remember. Sorry. It's a tough one, man. The hangover is real. T-Money Sacktown says, earlier today on your show with your dad, ALF was supposed to say ALF, as in the 80s TV show with the cat eating alien. I was born in 88, so I didn't watch ALF either, but ALF was kind of weird.
Yeah, he was.
I forget the context, but thank you, T-Money.
I was like 16 in 88, but I still didn't really watch ALF, so I couldn't really help you out either.